9:14 on a Tuesday morning. 200 people open the same email at the same second. Same words, same font, same timestamp. 60 seconds later, they are not in the same situation anymore. They're in 5 completely different ones. Not because of talent. The best engineer on that floor is in the worst position in the building right now and doesn't know it yet. Not because of who has kids or a mortgage or a sick parent. The system that just fired them did not check. One number decided everything. A number none of them have ever said out loud to each other in years of sitting 3 feet apart. How many days they can go without the next deposit. They're about to find out what that number bought them. Some of them are going to find out today. Level 1. You survive 3 days. Not 3 days of savings. 3 days until something breaks that you can't fix. $340 in the account. It felt survivable at 9:13. Rent auto drafts in 9 days and does not care about your circumstances. There was never a cushion. You were moving fast enough that it looked like flying, and the email just stopped you mid-air. Day 1. You tell no one. You sit in your car with a cardboard box on the passenger seat for 11 minutes. Then you drive to a coffee shop and start applying, because motion feels like control, and you need to feel something that isn't falling. Day 2. You cancel 3 subscriptions. $34 a month saved. You run the math 4 separate times hoping it comes out differently. This is the specific humiliation nobody describes. Not being broke, but doing arithmetic that refuses to work no matter how honestly you do it. Day 3. A grocery store. $61 of food. Chicken, rice, eggs, the cheap version of everything. The card declines. There's a pause where the cashier tries it again, and the person behind you shifts their weight, and you say something about the bank having an issue in a voice you don't recognize as yours. You leave the cart in the aisle. Full. Someone will have to put all of it back. Here's what happens next, and it happens to almost everyone at this level. In 6 weeks, you take the first job that answers. Warehouse nights. 40 minutes each way. 20% less than you were making. You accept it in a single afternoon without negotiating a cent. You will be there 4 years. You didn't choose that job. 3 days chose it for you. And it will keep choosing for you long after you've forgotten why you said yes. Level 2. You survive 3 weeks. $2,800. More than most people your age have. You'll tell yourself that on day 1 and stop telling yourself around day 9. 3 weeks is the most dangerous number on this entire list. Here's why. Hiring takes 6 to 8 weeks minimum. You have 3. You are going to run out of money before the process you're depending on can physically finish. And you don't know that yet. So you're going to spend the first week acting like a professional instead of like someone in a fire. Week 1. Updated resume, tailored cover letters, a tracking spreadsheet with color-coded columns. Up at 7. You tell people you're taking a beat to find the right fit. Week 2. 40 applications, 2 responses, both automated. You lower your salary requirement 15%. Then you lower it again, and you don't mention the second one to anyone you live with. Week 3. You're applying to jobs you're overqualified for, using a resume with accomplishments deleted from it. Because you've learned that being too experienced gets you rejected, and you would rather look smaller than look expensive. Then, day 19, an offer, lower pay, and a manager who gave you a bad feeling in the interview. You noticed it clearly. You can still picture the moment. You take it. That's the real price of 3 weeks. Not the pay cut. You had good judgment. It worked perfectly. It told you exactly what was wrong, and you couldn't afford to use it. You'll spend 2 years in that job explaining your unhappiness in ways that miss the point, because the actual reason is unsayable. You found out your instincts are a luxury item, and you couldn't make the payment. Level 3. You survive 6 months. $18,000 liquid. Something changes here, and it isn't the money. It's your posture in a room. You can say no now. You interview them while they interview you, and they can feel it, and it changes how they behave. Because desperation has a smell, and so does its absence. And every hiring manager on earth can detect both within 90 seconds. You take a full week off before you even start looking. You sleep. You take long walks. Your brain reassembles itself. That week costs you almost nothing, and the person at level 1 will never have it. Not once, at any point in their entire working life. It is not for sale to them at any price. Then the moment that pays for everything, you get an offer, and you counter it. 4 minutes on a phone call. You get another $8,000 a year. The person at level 2 accepted their first number in 11 seconds. Same skills, same industry, same year. $8,000 a year apart, forever, compounding into every future salary they'll ever negotiate from, decided entirely by a bank balance neither employer ever saw and neither will ever know about. That's the whole system in one phone call. Not talent, not effort, runway. But 6 months has a shadow, and it arrives around month 4. The math flips direction. It stops being, I have 6 months, and becomes, I have 61 days. And you sleep badly for the first time in this entire process, not the night you got fired. With $18,000 still in the bank, level 4, you survive 5 years, $400,000 liquid. Losing your job stops being an emergency and becomes information. Week 1, you discover something uncomfortable. You're not afraid. You'd spent 20 years quietly dreading this exact morning, and it turned out to be a Tuesday. Everyone treats you delicately and you let them, because saying, I'm fine, would sound like bragging. So you perform a stress you don't feel. You don't look for a job. You look for the right job. Different activity, different timeline. 3 months. You decline 2 offers that were genuinely good, better than what you had. Because good is something you can now afford to turn down. But here's the part that should bother you, and it's the truest thing in this video. 5 years of runway does not make people brave. It makes them patient. From the outside, those look identical. From the inside, they are opposites. You had enough capital to fund a business, take a real swing, fail publicly and survive it. And you used it to conduct a more comfortable job search. Almost everyone at this level does exactly that. The runway that could buy risk gets spent on certainty instead. You land somewhere better, more money, roughly the same work. And 2 years later on some ordinary Tuesday you'll think, briefly and then never again, about what you might have built if you'd been either poor enough to have no choice or rich enough for the choice not to matter. Level 5. You survive forever. $10 million. The portfolio out-earns the salary. The email is financially meaningless. You read it at 9:14 like everyone else. And something does land, just not where you expected. It isn't fear. It's the discovery that a large portion of who you thought you were was actually just where you went on weekday mornings. Then that fades, and the real thing arrives. Unlimited time and zero structure, which are far harder to hold together than anyone warns you. Every person on that email list would trade places with you instantly and would be correct to. That doesn't make the next part false. You take meetings that don't need to happen. You join 2 boards. You start something and abandon it in month 5, and nothing bad happens. That's the problem. Consequence was the engine that made you finish things, and you have permanently purchased your way out of consequence. 6 months later, at a dinner, someone asks what you do now, and you don't have a sentence. Not a humble one, not an impressive one. The question that had a one-word answer for 30 years now requires a paragraph about who you are instead of where you go, and you never wrote it, because you were never once required to. Infinite runway. Nowhere you're required to land. You'd take this deal again. It is still the loneliest version of the same Tuesday morning. Right now, somewhere, it's 9:14 on a Tuesday, and an email is landing in 200 inboxes at once. One of those people will have a job by Friday. It will be the wrong one. They'll still be there in 4 years. One will take 3 months and choose carefully. And the difference between those 2 outcomes was decided years ago by money that was already spent or already saved before either of them knew this morning was coming. The email is identical for all of them. The email was never the thing. Nobody can see your runway. Not your boss, not the person 3 feet away from you, not whoever wrote that message. There is no way to tell by looking. You are the only person alive who knows your number. So here's the only question this video is actually asking. You already know yours. You've known the whole time you've been watching. Is it enough?